Well, they called the action track for good reason, and what better way to return from a one-week break than here at the Richmond Raceway. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday Night Racing. My name is Ola Remble alongside Austin Edstrom, bringing you all of the racing action from round number 12 of the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series. Austin, race number 12, and we are at the action track in the heart of Virginia. This race, well, last time we were out here, to say it was interesting and chaotic would be putting it mildly. Who knows? Will we get another caution fest tonight? Or will this one be the one where we get some green flag running in?
With this being the Richmond Raceway on iRacing, I tend to kind of go towards the caution side of things, right? I mean, this track, you mentioned it, it's the action track. It's been absolutely crazy in real life. You know, about 10 years ago, it was consistently crazy. It's kind of calmed down, whenever we're not on the sim, but on the sim, it's still absolutely crazy, super hectic, and we got changeable conditions tonight with the sun going down through tonight's event, so it's going to change the track tremendously. I think it's gonna lend itself to having a good few accidents. There's going to be some green flag runs, but I definitely think that we're going to see a whole lot more cautions than we saw last week at Homestead.
Things are situated at 88 degrees Fahrenheit down to the racetrack, 84 in the air, some pretty strong 10-mile-an-hour winds, so definitely some pretty fierce track conditions to contend with. The championship standings entering racing action here this afternoon. It will start with Dalton Kilroe still up on top by over 20 points from Nicholas, just about 20 points from Nicholas Coruscant. Jada Hopp still very much in the fray as well. Tight battles all the way back throughout the top five, but as always, the battle looks to that fight for 12th place in the points.
Yeah, really, really tight here around that 10th to 12th area where you're looking to get into the playoffs. Lacey about 13 points out of that 12th place position as of now. Sean Williams with a really good run last week at Homestead, Miami, getting himself up to 14th in points and not too far off that 12th spot or the 11th. So even with the win and you're in kind of situation that we have, Sean Williams just outside of that bubble. Same with Nick Nickerson. Connor Gibson not too far out either, along with David Leakey. So honestly, everybody from 17th on up, I think, has a really good chance to make the playoffs even without a win.
Well, and don't forget as well, right, only 3 races before the playoffs after tonight. Michigan, Phoenix, and Charlotte, the only ones that remain in the regular series season to close out the month of July here on Green Flag TV. So plenty of action still yet to come. And of course, we are now very much into the end game. As after this, we'll begin the countdown with just 10 races left in the season as a whole after tonight's racing action. Over 30 cars are currently in the warm-up phase of racing action here tonight, with about a minute and a half left before we go racing. Of course, we'll look at the practice standings, and these were the fastest times coming out of the 1-hour practice, or the 45-minute practice session leading up to this. And, well, who's surprised, right? Jada Hopp, Nick Nickerson, 2 drivers that have excelled on tracks like these before, well up to the top of the boards. I'm a bit surprised to see Aaron Smith not in the top 3.
Well, he's not in the top 3 in the practice session, but he has popped it up on pole in the qualifying session. So yeah, maybe a little surprising. But you know, over the course of a 45-minute practice session, the time does change rapidly. The track changes consistently. So, you know, if Aaron Smith wasn't out there right at the beginning of practice, maybe he waited 20 minutes or so. The track just changes so much with the rubber getting put down on the racetrack. It slows down ever so slightly. So that could kind of explain why Smith was just about a tenth of a second off that top spot, and then able to make a pole lap in qualifying. So I still think Aaron Smith is probably your favorite coming in tonight.
I don't know. Don't discount Nick Nickerson. He's a driver that has shown some real desire to win here before. Of course, the Season 3 race here was a pretty wild affair, all things considered. The race, the first time we ever raced her was all the way back in season number 1, and that race was won by Benjamin Lacey after he bumped Nick Nickerson out of the way for the win, remember, Austin, about a year ago. So I know Nick's got something to prove this afternoon, and that is that he is still very much in contention to win this thing. Smith was the last winner here, so those 2 drivers very much the odds-on favorite too to win racing action here this afternoon. With all that said and done, we've got ourselves with qualifying all wrapped up, and well, it's time to take a rundown on what the starting grid is going to look like over here for the next 200 laps of racing action. So starting on pole position, it is going to be the PT Autosport Yellow Vision number 70 of Aaron Smith. He starts alongside Mark Arthur. From there, row number 2 holds old school racers Jaden Hopp alongside team MFRD's Brian Dees, with row 3 holding Nick Nickerson and Michael Thorpe Jr. for Golden Guardian Autosport. Row 4 will hold Ty Marasco and the G&W Racing Machine of Wyatt Walker, and closing out the top 10 is Midwest Motorsports runner Jeremiah Hobbs and 785 Racing's John Osborne in the Pepsi number 5.
Going back to row number 6, we've got Kyle Willman and that number 42 starting on the inside line with Christopher Bassinger on his outside in 12th place. Back up to row number 7, Ethan Sikorsky for Unhitched Racing starting on the inside with Jacob Locklear in that number 96 Toyota on his outside. Dustin Ping starting on the inside of row number 8 with Michael Keithley on the outside for Old School Racers in the number 53. Going back one more row, starting in 17th place, we've got Tanner Marr trying to right the wrongs. Unlucky season so far, really to no fault of his own, just trying to get a complete race in tonight, with Connor Gibson on his outside in 18. Going back to row number 10, rounding out the top 20, we've got Kevin Foster on the inside and David Leakey starting on the outside in 20th.
For that 21st place, it's going to be Larry Bell out of Canada, running in 21st place alongside 785's Benjamin Lacey, who won race number 1 here with a bump and run move. He looks to go for the double as well. Paul Satmary going in 23rd alongside Bob Berry down in 24th. Matt Crockett in 25th alongside Sean Williams in 26th. The Nicholas Corso then 27th. Dalton Kilroe in 28th. Drivers here that did not put in qualifying laps along with Scott Shire, Anthony Marshall, Mike Massagill, and James E. Faw to close out the field.
Nolan, you know how I was saying there in the 11th to 20th range, I was talking about how Tanner Marr just really needs a full, complete race where nothing goes wrong, because he's had so many things knock him out outside of his control. Well, he's already dropped the packet loss as we were getting rolling. So at a very
Dude,
at a
you
bare
gotta
minimum,
stop with these commentator curses. I mean, this is legendary status here. I mean, this is the first commentator jinx I've seen when the race hasn't even started yet.
I know. I just feel bad for Tanner, man. He's had such a rough season, and it hasn't been his fault. I mean, I don't think anything has really been his fault in the season of him getting wrecked. And I just had to open my big mouth. I was hoping for something good for him today, and obviously it's gone the other direction before we even take the green flag.
Well, we'll see how the rest of this race is going to pan on out. One race with a bump and run, the other with a walk-off win. We'll see what it'll be here this afternoon as the field works through turn numbers 3 and 4. Time to get the party started. It's go, go, go in Virginia!
Aaron Smith just about clear before we got down to down to turn 1, 2 by 2 all throughout the field. Mark Arthur, though, with a really good turns 1 and 2 on that outside of the racetrack. That Barbie Mobile on the outside, challenging Aaron Smith here early on lap 1.
Trying to challenge him early on here in this one. Dustin Ping also for the black flag to serve. That is a result of penalties over the last few weeks. Arthur clears from the lead. He'll lead lap number 1 and takes off down into turn numbers 1 and 2. Double file, meanwhile, all the way down behind him with Brian Dees, Nick Nickerson, Michael Thorpe Jr., and Ty Marasco all getting single file down to the turn number 3.
Incredible start to this race for Mark Arthur. Starting on the outside. Looked like he was easily going to get cleared by the time we got down to turn 1. Able to just rip around the outside of Aaron Smith. Already put a little bit of distance, a little bit of breathing room between him and Smith and Jaden Hopp. Brian Dees with a really good starting position here tonight on the outside. They're fighting for the 4th place position around Nick Nickerson, who sounded like he was going to be your favorite. Currently, Nick stuck in that side-by-side battle for 4th, and if Brian Dees gets by him, Thorpe Jr. is going to fill that hole at the top side of the racetrack too, trying to take 5th from him.
Trying to fight the way through. Nick Nickerson still working that field down on the low side here this afternoon. Mark Arthur resetting the fastest lap 3 times over in the opening 3 laps here this afternoon. Already walking out over a 1-second gap at the very head of this field. Arthur looking to be the driver to beat, at least in the early on portions here this afternoon. Maybe burning off some of that equipment though early on. Everyone else here still double file, just trying to get themselves single filed out.
I know that we don't see Mark Arthur too often here in the High Tide Racing League, but on the Sunday night Blazing Pedals series, he is a series regular, and he wins a good chunk of races there on the Sunday afternoon races. Or he runs good in the short track races, at least. Like, I mean, he is consistently one of, if not the favorite to win the short tracks anytime that we go to him. So it's not too surprising to see him dipping his toes in the High Tide Racing Guardian Premier Series here tonight whenever we come to Richmond Raceway, and he is really showing why he wanted to come out here tonight. I mean, already out to over a second lead. Like you said, though, I'd be worried he's burning off the stuff just a little bit too early. We know that we don't give these guys a ton of tire sets in this race, so you'd hate to see Mark Arthur burn his stuff up too much and then have a yellow flag where he can't come down pit road and just lose a bunch of positions on a restart. But so far, so good there for the driver of the 48.
Speaking of coming down pit road, James Fall getting a call in an early night as he has come down to pit road and has decided to call it quits. Unfortunate for him, as the rest of this field very much trying to sort themselves out. In the fact, it looks like James Fall may have in fact had a crash coming out of potentially turn number 4. We'll take a look back, find out what happened. This isn't turn 4 for the real tree, number 88. He's going to clip that apron down to the inside and just throttled up too aggressively on exit, spun down, and did keep it off of the inside wall, and potentially just wasn't feeling it this afternoon.
Yeah, just a bit of a moment there coming out of turn 4 here early on. Maybe didn't need to call it quits, but maybe he's just running enough practice here to know that he just doesn't have it or just isn't feeling it here tonight and decided to call it quits a little bit early. But man, it's still 2x2 battling all throughout the field. One guy who's hoping that some of this 2x2 battling turns into a little bit of contact is Tanner Marr. I mentioned he lagged out before the session even started. He was able to get back in and somehow get out of pit road in time for him to stay on the lead lap, but he is a whole 19 seconds off the race leader. In fact, you can see the race leader out of his rear view mirror already, only on lap 10, so he's going to be hoping and praying for a caution so that he can catch up to the rest of this field ASAP.
Like you say, though, very lucky that he was able to get out of pit road before he lost the lead lap. That is probably the one thing that has really kept him in the race so far, so we'll continue to keep tabs on Tanner Marr's progress. Meanwhile, a pretty fierce fight for 20th on back. Look at all the side-by-side here at the back portions of the field. Matt Crockett trying to fend off Sean Williams for 19th. Coruscant, Shire, Kilroe, Lacey, all embroiled in the battle pack here. You have some real heavy hitters at the tail of the field there, right? Dustin Pink, Benjamin Lacey, Dalton Kilroe, all drivers that are usually drivers we see up towards the front, just mired at the tail end.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see a lot of these guys have poor qualifying efforts or not even putting down times. Like Kilroe did not put down a time. I don't know if he made a mistake on his qualifying laps. No, he never even tried to put down qualifying laps. So kind of weird to see a couple of these big names back here. Even Scott Shire, you would expect him to be a little bit further up towards the front of the field than he is. You mentioned, Benjamin Lacey, and that's a shock. He's a really good long run driver, and a track like Richmond that really comes into play. But being this far back, even if you get that long run, you're not going to be able to run down the front of this pack, especially whenever the leader is setting as blistering of a pace as Mark Arthur is on.
Jaden Hopp going to make more tracks, gets around Aaron Smith. Brian Dees gets around Michael Thorpe Jr. as well. Nick Nickerson, Ty Marasco, Wyatt Walker, all under a blanket still as they fight their way down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Whoa, look out, Nick Nickerson stacks him up, checks to the Ty Marasco. Walker gets through. Jeremiah Hobbs trying to get through as well, and a big collision coming around through turn number 4.
Yeah, very hairy moment just inside of the top 10 through 3 and 4 there, just about the caution that Tanner Marr needed. Nonetheless, we're going to get another look at it coming down towards turn 3. Ty Marasco here down on the inside.
Well, that was the lap prior.
That was the lap before. Oh, man, look at him get sideways out of 4, though. Ty Marasco just about lost it the lap before.
And then here, checkup. You got him back to 4.
Nickerson drove in a little bit too deep, a little bit too quick compared to Michael Thorpe there in the 34. Got into the back bumper of him. But one big mover here early on in this race. Huge start of the race for Kevin Foster. Started in the 19th place spot. He's up to 11 already, just 17 laps in. So Kevin Foster looking like he might have some pace to break himself into the top 10. Another couple tenths of a second before he gets up to Ethan Sikorsky up here in front of him. But the pace from Foster here early has been pretty immense.
So he's going to keep up the fight here as he'll look to work his way into the top 10. The next driver up the road of him is Ethan Sikorsky, who just caught the wall on the way in to turn number 1. Further down, still got drivers like Scott Shire trying to fight it out with some of the back markers here. Bob Berry going to be going down another spot here as the 75 going to lose out to the 4. And Ty Marasco trying to find a way to get on Wyatt Walker, but you see Walker take that defensive line. Marasco sells him the dummy, though, down the inside at turn 1, and Marasco's up to 7th.
And there's actually a little bit of communication down the front straightaway there. Wyatt Walker told Ty Marasco, go ahead and take it bottom here. He recognized Ty was just a little bit faster. And, you know, Ty was stuck behind a couple of these guys, right? He was stuck behind Thorpe Jr., stuck behind Nick Nickerson. They had their little coming together moment. Ty lost a good bit of ground, and now he's just trying to, you know, claw it all back. He got that one position back on Wyatt Walker. He was challenging Thorpe Jr. not too long ago for the sixth place position. Thorpe has since passed Nickerson, and now Ty trying to get right back up to those two after that contact that they had earlier.
Dalton Kilroe completes pass on Matt Crockett, puts himself into the top 20 for the first time tonight. As Sean Williams, situated just behind him in 22nd, trying to follow him through for the 21st place position. Drivers, by the way, that we expected to see at the tail of the field. Obviously, Justin Ping was one of those, right? He had a black flag to serve, and of course, you had the 96 car of Jacob Locklear within the alongside penalty. Kyle Wellman had to serve an EOL penalty. So the field is going to continue to fight their way through, and now Wyatt Walker and Jeremiah Hobbs, they're going to go side by side. This, the fight for 8th.
Yeah, Walker stuck out here on the outside of the racetrack now. Starting to struggle a little bit as we get a little bit further into this run. He had just lost that position to Ty Marasco not too long ago. Now Jeremiah Hobbs trying to get down on the inside of the racetrack, make this move done as quickly as he possibly can, rotating the bottom of the track really well there through 3 and 4, but the outside just able to pinch him down, not let him get the throttle down on the exit of the corner. Another side-by-side battle we've got inside the top 5. Michael Thorpe Jr. hanging on to the 5th place spot, but Nick Nickerson, he's wanting it on the inside coming out of 2.
Oh, yes, he is. He wants to go right now as Nick and Michael continue to scrap it out side by side. Down the front straightaway, Mark Arthur working out a now 2.2 second gap over this field. Jada Hopp has pulled 9/10 on Aaron Smith behind. Thorpe going to fend off Nickerson for the number 5 spot. Good run for him. Tell you what, this field getting pretty spread out here in the early going of this race. Looking at Sikorsky going around the top side of Foster.
Yeah, Foster continuing to try to mount a challenge up towards the front of the field, but his momentum has kind of stopped in this 11th place position. He's gotten to the inside of Sikorsky now a couple times, but has not been able to complete this pass. Hasn't been able to clear himself across the nose of that number 94. Now Wyatt Walker slow in the middle of the corner. Sikorsky has to go way high through 3 and 4. He's going to get a good run out of the corner, though. That really, really high line. Going to let him get back into the throttle, straighten out the straightaway a little bit longer, or make the straightaway a little bit longer, but coming down to 1. Again, the very, very high line for the 94, trying to rip around the outside. This time Foster was clear, but he just did not clear himself. Sikorsky actually brakes a little bit there through the center of the back straightaway just to let Foster have that position. This time I think Foster's going to take it out of 4. No, Foster's just committed to the bottom of the racetrack.
Foster trying to play that defensive line with the GFR Racing number 8 Ford Mustang, and oh boy, that glare in turn 2 is real nasty for these drivers. Sikorsky not able to find a way down the inside of 3. Probably could have gone for the lunge, but that's one of those moves you want to make late in the game, right? You're not really making that in the early portions of this race. I think he might be waiting for Wyatt Walker to try and force Foster into a mistake. Might try to follow through. There goes Foster to the inside. Washes up into Walker. That might be the opportunity that Sikorsky was looking for.
Yeah, I'm just not able to get any type of overlap here if you're Ethan Sikorsky. Foster there still in that side-by-side battle for 9. Continuing his run towards the front of the field. Coming off of 4, though, just sideways for the driver of the 8. Can't get the throttle down. You can tell that these guys are really struggling on the exit of turn 4, which it doesn't really surprise me, but I'd expect to see a little bit more struggling out of 2. You saw that ridiculous glare coming out of turn 2 just a moment ago, and you know, history's sake, turn 2 has been a pretty difficult corner coming out of turn 2, I should say, at the Richmond Raceway. A lot of times that back end just steps out because you've got so much wheel in it through the center of the corner. Here tonight, though, maybe it's because of the huge spoiler that we have on the back of the ARCA cars and a little bit less horsepower than we're used to for NASCAR vehicles. It seems like turn 2 isn't as much of a problem spot as it has been in the past, but turn 4 has really taken its place. Typically, from personal experience, 4 has been the easier corner. As the 53 slides up, Michael Keithley wrecks it just about out of turn 4. What a save. Clearly, turn 4 is a little bit harder than 2 tonight. Good catch for Keithley. Whoa, we got one going around. Wyatt Walker sideways in turn 1. No caution yet. He is down on the apron. There might not be a yellow for this. Backs it up into traffic. Still no caution. Now it comes out. Walker was not happy on the radio there with Kevin Foster. Foster completely overdrove the corner and just wiped Wyatt out coming down into it, honestly. You'll have to check the replay here going into one, but he definitely outbraked himself.
Yeah, that was already in progress there. We'll take a better look at this one here. There you see Keithley sideways behind. No contact from Sikorsky behind. Yeah, Foster just drove her in deep and took out the 71. Spins him up, around. Good job on the field to miss him.
And good job from Wyatt locking it down as well as he did. He made himself very, very predictable and also made it to where he didn't even nose into the inside wall. Like, you don't spin around at Richmond Raceway very often without getting damaged. Wyatt Walker does a great job there. He's going to have to come down, take on 4 fresh tires, and he's going to lose all his track position, but that could have been a whole lot worse for the driver of the 71, a driver that's just on the fringes of the playoffs trying to make it here. That's not what you want to see early, but damage mitigation is huge, and ultimately he gave Kevin plenty of room down there on the bottom of the racetrack. Kevin just entered a little too high, got on the brakes a little too late.
Both Passenger and Lacey having some close calls, and now we've got plenty of drivers into pit road as a result. No surprise on this one. What does surprise is that Arthur has stayed out. Mark Arthur retains the lead on 36-lap old tires. Hot wins the race off pit road, and Smith follows suit right behind him.
One guy's really happy about that caution. That's Tanner Marr. He gets the lucky dog. One guy's going to be really pissed off about Mark Arthur not coming down pit road, and that's Dustin Ping. No, Mark Arthur actually coming down this time.
May have missed it.
So isn't that a black flag for entering a closed pit?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, he doesn't.
If you don't
have
pit
one.
whenever it's open for everybody else, it's supposed to be.
It's still open, though, for the lap cars, remember?
I do remember, but I've definitely been penalized for pitting the second time around whenever I'm a lead lap car, so I don't know. But like you said, you've got the black flag things that pop up on your ticker, so we would know. I'm surprised he didn't get one. I don't know if maybe there's a change in the code here or not. Did he not even take tires?
He did not. Fuel only for Arthur. And
so he's given up all his track position.
He's been given an... Okay, you are correct. He has just gotten an long slide penalty for pitting on the closed pits. I don't know, maybe he wasn't planning on taking tires and wanted to start at the back because he didn't want to get swallowed up, but he's planted something with those tires, clearly.
And we only have 4 sets of tires behind the pit wall. So you can only, to be honest, this would be about whenever you would want to take them. You can take a set every 40 laps. If you've got 4 you can put on, and then the 5th, including the one you start with, you can pit every 40 laps and be fine. But, if he saves this set, stays on the lead lap, then it gives him that extra set for later. But I just don't know if I'd want to give up all this track position and get that penalty on top of it. I'm actually a little worried that he's got worse than an EOL, because I definitely remember getting passed through for doing what he just did before. So I'm a little worried that his penalty might be a little bit worse.
Jaden Hopp picks the outside lane for the restart as the field going to work their way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Caution number 1 comes almost a fifth of the way into racing action tonight. Green flag is back in the air, and we're back to racing.
Jaden Hopp inheriting that race lead because of Mark Arthur deciding to come down the second time around. He easily clears into the lead, picking that outside groove of the racetrack. Aaron Smith cleared a second. Third place, though, side by side. Nick Nickerson down on the bottom. Michael Thorpe Jr. up on the outside in that number 34. Looking further back, Mark Arthur is staying on the racetrack, so it must have just been an EOL. And he's just trying to save those tires. One car just lost it out of turn 4, further back in about the 25th place spot. Able to hang on to it. But, man, it is hairy from about the mid-pack on back.
Well, if this second thing goes the any way the first one did, they'll get through here just fine. I was actually pleasantly surprised that we went over 30 laps when we got that first caution flag, right? That is a rarity on the iRacing service, and that is potentially a good omen for how the rest of this race could pan out.
Man, you heard my announcer jinx before we even started the race. Are you testing fate right now? You couldn't have just said nothing and us been, us had those green flag runs. Are you trying to get the confidence?
I've been on a good streak lately, actually. you seem to have taken all my luck away. As I say that, Keithley hard into the outside wall. Big hit into the fence, no caution. But that's going to be a doozy for Keithley. He is going to have a lot of damage to fix up. And, into the inside wall. Yeah, that car is broke.
Oh, they're wrecking in front now. The 49 right in front of pit road. Holy cow, that was just about huge. The 49 coming all the way across the racetrack. But yeah, whenever I was laughing there, I wasn't laughing at Keithley. I was laughing at you. I just want to throw that out there. I feel bad for Michael. 49 does a good job not getting damaged because he spun out. Couldn't tell if he had help or not there through the middle of 3 and 4. But going back to the first one, Keithley on the outside of the racetrack here in 3 and 4. Dalton Kilroe, the man behind him, and he said it was off of his nose in the driver chat. So got to wait and see exactly what happened coming down to turn 1. Keithley with the car a little bit in front of him, not so far in front that you would expect him to check up super early. And yeah, it's just Kilroe broke a little bit later than he needed to, with the 53 being right on his front bumper, and Keithley definitely got the worst end of that. I mean, huge damage for the driver of the 53, but the caution was really for the 49 coming down through 3 and 4.
Yeah, the 49 car of Matt Crockett going for a slide as well, and this was what happened to Crockett. He's right behind Jacob Locklear. Bit of a bump with Bob Berry the outside. Down the inside is going to go the number 20 of Mike Massengill, and, well, 3 into 3 doesn't work, and Crockett going to go spinning around. Walker just barely squeaks through that.
Goodness gracious, that was tight. Aggressive move. That can work down there into 3, and if he would have held the white or the yellow line as tidy as you possibly could have, they would have avoided that incident there. But Mike did come up ever so slightly.
Boy.
But that might be a race anyway. That's huge.
And that's a pretty sizable impact into the wall, and then this was at speed for the other spin. Great course correction for for Wyatt Walker in that number 71. Let's ride on board with him here. Saw it immediately, started to check up, and just makes it through.
That's as close as you can get, and that would have been some pretty hefty damage to the front end of Walker. That's now both caution flags that Walker has done a very, very good job to make sure that he doesn't get any damage out of either wrecking or people wrecking in front of him there. So Walker, a couple good saves in terms of saving the race car, making sure there's no damage on it early.
Lights remain on for the RC Pace car, even though we are pretty much doubled up. Now, I'm willing to bet that this doubling up here is just drivers wanting to go.
Well, they added 1 lap to the pacing as soon as they crossed the line. So
they must have added 2 then, because they were double file for a lap already before this. So some extensive delays on this yellow flag.
Yeah, and I'm not really hearing anything in the driver chat, so I'm not quite sure what the extension is for. I'm not really
likely trying
see anything on the racetrack.
Likely trying to sort EOLs, if I had to guess.
They had just given one to Mike Massengill for that yellow flag.
Understandable.
And, it's weird, right? Like, Massengill turned a guy to cause the caution, and didn't give the guy any damage. Kilroe wrecked somebody coming down into 1. There wasn't a caution, but that guy is destroyed. But Kilroe gets to keep his spot, and that's just the nature of the rules. And it looks a little weird because Kilroe's an admin, but ultimately his didn't bring out a caution, and it's really, the EOLs are for at-fault incidents causing a caution, but you just kind of feel bad for Keithley because he's destroyed, and the guy that did it to you doesn't have any repercussions from it.
Well, you know how it works, right? There is no perfect system. You can never make a perfect system. All you can do is just make the best that you can get, and they got a pretty good one for what they got here, so...
Great.
Jaden Hobb picked the outside last time. This time, it's the inside. As he'll lead the field through turn numbers 3 and 4. Green flag is in the air. And once again, we take off towards turn 1.
Interesting that Hobb picked the inside of the racetrack this time. I think he's trying to make it where Aaron Smith doesn't just get clear right off the bat. And look at that. He's going to be stuck in a battle there with Michael Thorpe Jr. In fact, Thorpe Jr. is going to completely clear Aaron Smith. Have a really good restart out of the driver, the 34. He's going to get all the way to the back bumper of Jaden Hobb here through 3 and 4. cleanly into second place as we're side by side for fourth. Nickerson around the outside, sliding it sideways, able to hang on to it and able to take the fourth place position from Marasco and almost got to the back of Aaron Smith.
Ty Marasco trying to hold the inside line as well, while Nick Nickerson continues to fight that thing up and around the outside line. Marasco holding it down low, still no dice. A bit of a slide for Hobbs coming out of 4. But he keeps that field really going strong as, again, Jeremiah Hobbs trying to work that outside groove, but he just keeps getting boxed in by Nick Nickerson up there.
Yeah, boxed in for now, but continuing to just throw that car to the outside of the racetrack and continue to have the momentum down the straightaways, putting himself in a really good position to complete this pass on Ty Marasco here, coming down to 1. Ty way down to the inside of the racetrack, not really doing a late apex like we're seeing most of these guys doing. Obviously, on the inside of 1 and 2, you kind of get your bed made for you, but still tight. It's very, very narrow coming into 1 that last time by, and here through 3 and 4, tight between the 2 once again. Ty cannot clear, but neither can Hobbs. Every now and again, or every other lap, it seems like one of them gets a nose out in front coming out of 4, but neither one of them can actually complete the move.
Even further back in the field, it's the same way, right? And that's why they call this place the action track. Plenty of side-by-side to go around, and it takes several laps oftentimes to complete a pass at the Richmond Raceway. It makes it a real driver's track when it comes to trying to make ground, and that's why choosing not to qualify here can often be a devastating error to your race that you're going to be fighting with throughout the entirety of this run.
Which is why guys like Benjamin Lacey are struggling so much. Dalton Kilroe didn't put down qualifying laps. Lacey did not have a good qualifying lap, and they have not made a ton of headway. Kilroe only up in a 15th. Lacey a couple spots behind that to the inside of Christopher Passenger here for the 16th place position. But these guys haven't made as much headway as they would have liked. Don't get me wrong, Kilroe started 28th, he's up to 15th, but you know, if you're a guy like Kilroe, a guy like Lacey, guys that are used to winning races in this series, you want to be starting in and around the top 10, so you have a chance to be in the top 5 and battle it out for the win. But man, they have been struggling here early to actually get through the pack. It just seems to be super tough to pass here today.
And no doubt a lot of this down to the way this car drives well, right? It's a very tight race car, kind of hard to kick the tail end out on these things, so that is why we're seeing everybody effectively almost looking like they're running on rails, right? As I say that, Kilroe gets a little bit crossed up, but you know, these cars tend to be quite tight on that back end and the front end, in fact, and that was a big complaint we saw over the last week or two with races here. John Osborne catches the outside wall in 2, and that is definitely what contributes to this hard-to-pass nature of this car.
Yeah, Homestead was insane how tight that setup was last week. I didn't get to run any practice laps this week to see how tight it was here at Richmond, but I can tell you from experience last week, Homestead, I mean, you could not kick the back end out. It was pretty insane as the caution flag comes out here, so somebody must have kicked the back end out somewhere.
Oh,
it's coming out too.
drivers.
Shire still wrecking, more contact there. The 49 around again.
Corcel, Shire, Marr, and I think Crockett back there as well, just a few of them that get caught up in a crash coming around through turn 2. As we'll look back and try to figure out what happened here. This is Scott Shire, there's Crockett.
It starts in front of him, Sathmary and Marr.
Right there, right front to left rear. Round goes Marr, and just everyone stacks in there with nowhere to go. Shire just barely got caught by Crockett as he spun around, and nowhere for Massagill to go either.
Yeah, I mean, it really started because Tanner Marr checked up just ever so slightly to make sure he didn't run over the older tires of Mark Arthur. And whenever he checked up, Sathmary was just a little bit too far up the racetrack and continued his normal momentum through the corner. So, I mean, obviously no fault on Tanner. I mean, he just got ran over. But it's just one of those incidents coming through the center of the corner. One guy has to check up to not run over another, and then all of a sudden the next car behind just can't get it slowed down in time. You know, Sathmary's already on the brakes through the center of the corner trying to make a normal corner of it. He's not even expecting to get side by side with Tanner, but because of the checkup that Tanner had to do to not wreck somebody else, then Sathmary just kind of piled in there.
Coruscant jammed to the brakes. He manages to avoid, and we are under the yellow flag for the first time tonight. First time? Third time tonight in this one. We're going to take ourselves to the quick step back. We return to more racing action coming up on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are just set to go back to Green Flag Racing. If you're just tuning in, we're working lap 62 of 200 from race 12 of the Hindsight Racing Gardner Ramirez Series. My name is Ola Wemble alongside Austin Edstrom, Jaden Hopp. Outside on restart number 1, inside on number 2. This time he picks the outside again. We're back to green. He's cleared by 2 into turn 1.
Yeah, that decision is going to put the two behind him into a side-by-side battle for second. Hobbs trying to rip around the outside of the racetrack, stays side-by-side with Michael Thorpe Jr. It's been a great start to this race for Jeremiah Hobbs. Started in 9th, and now just eking the nose ahead for second place, and I think he's going to get that move done coming out of turn 4. If he can just get that throttle down. The back end stepped out, though, a little bit. It's going to keep Thorpe to his inside as we come down the front straightaway. Going to keep them side-by-side, coming down to 1 and 2. We got two MFRD cars fighting side-by-side for the 5th place position as well. Michael Thorpe Jr., Brian Lees going at it, trying to get themselves into the top 5.
Plenty of side-by-side going on all throughout this field as the field continues to work their way around the Richmond Raceway. Just over a quarter of the way through, with nearly 150 laps still yet to run. Thorpe fights to the inside of Hobbs, allowing Virginia Hobbs to build out over a half-second gap in less than 5 laps. Jeremiah Hobbs kicks the tail end out. That'll let Thorpe continue to get down the inside of him in a 1.
Yeah, Hobbs has just about had this move done a handful of times, but coming out of turn 4, he just gets the throttle down ever so slightly too early there out of 2. Kisses the fence just a little bit, allowing Thorpe Jr. to stay side-by-side. If he can just be a little bit more patient through the center of the corner and get a straighter run coming out, he would have cleared him by now, but here, perfectly side-by-side down the front straightaway. Thorpe Jr. going to try to outbreak him down into 1. Hobbs going way to the outside. Really, really wide entry for the number 3. Trying to straighten up this straightaway, make it a little bit longer. Extending that turn number 2 is basically the beginning of the straightaway. If you can get the right angle of exit out of that corner, couldn't quite do it. And they're still just stuck side-by-side for a second. Nowhere to go if you're Nick Nickerson.
And right behind them, look at Scott Shire just out of that right rear window, right? He is also lurking, trying to find a way to get through. Finally, Thorpe's going to clear him coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, now that makes it a side-by-side battle there for the 3rd place spot. Nick Nickerson getting down to the inside of Jeremiah Hobbs. The outside looked like he was going to clear 4. Oh, there a little bit of contact there out of 4. Tight racing between the 2. Nickerson has to lift. Still side-by-side, though, as we come to 1.
Are you not entertained? The racing when we go green tonight has been absolutely stellar all day long as Hobbs and Nick continue to fight it down to the inside of turn numbers 3 and 4. Nick Nickerson started this race from 5th. He is trying to retake a podium. And remember, Nick with something to prove entering tonight. He was one of the favorites to win this race in season 1 when he came out here. He was looking set to win it, but Benjamin Lacey put the bumper to him in turn number 3 on the final lap, put him into the fence, and that allowed Lacey to cruise home to a win. Jaden Hopp this afternoon, not Jeremiah Hopp, sorry, Nick Nickerson, he really wants that race win here.
Yeah, we still got a couple people that he's got to go through to be able to do it, and we're just a little over a quarter of the way through this thing, right? Well, a little bit more than that, I suppose, but about 33% of the way through this thing. Working lap 71 here of 200. Oh, big loose moment for Brian Dees coming out of 4. He just about lost it from that 6th place spot. But how about the job that Ty Marasco and Brian Dees are doing? You know, typically we talk about MFRD, and the banner car is you know, the 41 of Dalton Kilrow. He's the one winning a lot of races, doing really well. Kilrow started from the back. He's climbed up to 8. Finally, kind of picked up some spots through a little bit of strategy and whatnot. But man, the 2 cars that have been carrying the banner for MFRD so far tonight have been Ty Marasco and Brian Dees.
And well, this fight between the 2 and the 3 continuing to go nowhere as these guys just cannot find a way to break away from one another. With Ty Marasco right behind him as well, trying to fight his way through. But again, Marasco also stuck with not a whole lot that he can do about it.
Yeah, you get stuck side by side like this in front of you, and it's just really tough. You got to really work your way through 1 and 2 to be able to get kind of the overspeed to make it 3 wide, but not a diving 3 wide into turn 3. But here, Nickerson finally clears for that 3rd place spot on Jeremiah Hobbs. Sucks for Hobbs though, because if he would have just gotten clear for 2nd place and been able to be in the clean air that Michael Thorpe Jr. is in now, at least a lot cleaner air than he is currently, I think he would have been able to hang on to the 2nd place spot, but just getting stuck out there on the outside, not quite being able to clear Thorpe and then not quite being able to clear Nickerson has really hurt that number 3, and I imagine it's hurt his tires too, running that outside of the racetrack. Caution flag out, wrecking in 3.
Thought for a moment we might have a good run going there. Wyatt Walker and Mike Massagill, the 2 that have gone around up on the high side of turns 3 and 4, up by the outside wall. Shannon Hopp going to continue to lead the way. I thought for a moment, you know, hey, maybe we got this. I mean, maybe we got something going here, but apparently not.
Yeah, watching the replay, I gotta be honest, Wyatt's on the inside. He holds his line. His left side tires are on the dash line all the way down the back straightaway here. And then Massengill just kind of turns left a little early for the corner, I feel like. I don't think Walker went up. I think Massengill just came down ever so slightly. What a job from Corcel. Holy heck.
That was beautiful. Heads up driving there from the 40. Is that speed?
It's tight side drafting to where if it just takes 1 switch from either car to where it'll be an accident between the 2.
You know,
so
good driving from both of them as well to keep it out of the outside wall. That could have been a lot worse from either end.
Yeah, I feel like Wyatt Walker should have been out of this race 3 times already. Somehow he has not had any damage from these accidents. But yeah, Massengill just left a little bit too much room to the outside to the wall and turned down ever so slightly. But Corcel there, that's a ridiculous job for Nick to get through that. Especially, you know, that's a guy pretty firmly within the playoffs right now. He's been Mr. Consistent this season, but it just, you know, it only takes 1 really bad race to kind of fling you down the running order and all of a sudden put you in danger of missing the playoffs. So that's a big miss there for Nick.
Well, Austin, this is yellow flag number 4. What do you reckon? Do you want to find anybody to give a chit chat to?
Well, are we getting the one to go right here? I think this might be.
Nope, not even close. I think we've got 2 still.
Well, who's been the story of the race so far? I don't even know. I mean,
there's a lot of options.
Hobbs doing great, but how about Benjamin Lacey?
Why not? We'll bring in the driver of the 785 number 7 here into the broadcast booth, and we'll look to give Benjamin Lacey a bit of a chat here this afternoon. Ben, this is Noah Rempel here in the broadcast booth. How you doing?
Doing all right. How about you all?
Oh, we're doing just fine here as well. Up 15 for you. Things are looking strong. Is that all strategy or a bit of pace helping you out there as well if you didn't qualify?
You know, I did qualify. I just didn't have the raw pace. So just playing the long game here and see what we can do. And tires kind of playing effect, but it looks like strategy's a little split now. So we'll see what happens.
44 lap old tires for you. Is that of any concern coming to the restart, or do you hope the drivers with a bit of a buffer behind you will kind of help you to drive away from it?
Yeah, obviously you hope for the buffer behind, and obviously watch for the wheels spin, and you know, then just get the tires up to temp and run as usual and try to stay out of trouble.
All right, well, we'll let you get back to work out there. Good luck on the restart here coming to it.
Appreciate it.
Benjamin Lacey, of course, as always, a staple on the grid. Happy to have him out as always. 3 and 4 again. Jaden Hop picks the outside line. Pretty much every driver within the top 12 bar passenger is on 44 live ball tires. We're back to green.
Going to clear coming down to 1. Not as good of a restart, though, as we've seen in the past. He's going to just be able to cut the nose off of the 34 here, entering the corner, get a good straight run coming off as well. Make sure that he keeps that race lead. Thorpe a little bit wide. Had to avoid that wall. A little bit of a hairy moment further back in the pack. Just about 3 wide entering the corner. Massengill stuck on the bottom. Jeremiah Hobbs on the new tires. He just pitted. Trying to come through these guys.
Yeah, Larry Bell caught the outside wall coming out of 2, and that really stacked him up into the rest of the field. You can see Massengill down low. Dustin Pink nearly ran him over. Jeremiah Hobbs and Kyle Wellman were both able to fight through the incident. Mark Arthur, I think, is... Yeah, Mark Arthur caught him in all of this. David Lakey caught up in all of this as well. Now we are going to be 3 wide down the front straightaway, but Arthur, while he might have been forced to lift initially on the exit, he sure is not going to lift. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1, and Lakey trying to go around the outside. Contact and around. Going to go the number 20.
Yeah, Mike just got taken out coming out of turn 2.
No yellow yet. Oh, come on. There we go. I was to say that there's no way that's not a yellow. Absolutely
racing
not.
Confuses me sometimes. I kid. The caution bots are not perfect.
Jeez, no kidding. Some work to be done, I think, is the kind way of putting that one. As I mean, Sadler just kind of pushed up into him.
I don't think Paul realized they were 3 wide. I think he thought Mike was gonna track up to the wall, but they were offset 3 there coming out of 2.
And again, Coruscant through the middle. He has been having a time of it getting through these wrecks today. That's what, like the 4th one now that he's just been able to avoid.
And there, coming out of the corner too, Mike didn't track out as much as he could have, but to I don't want to put that on Mike because I think he's seeing the car on his outside going straight up to the wall and pounding the fence down and thinking, oh my goodness, he's going to bounce off the wall. I got to give him a little bit more room. And unfortunately, Sathmary just, he didn't have the same vision of the car hitting the wall up on the outside. They were offset 3 wide. Mike's car would have been, kind of in that sight line to block Paul from actually seeing the car all the way up against the fence. And, Mike just cuts it down a little bit lower off that corner than normal to make sure he doesn't completely destroy the car that hits the fence. And unfortunately, it's kind of like that issue with Tanner earlier. One guy makes one evasive maneuver to make sure that they don't get into somebody else, and unfortunately the car behind doesn't have that visual, doesn't have that same ability to see exactly what's going on, so they take a normal line out of the corner, and unfortunately the normal line would just wreck somebody.
Well, Austin, his luck has been great so far today. Well, at risk of jinxing the poor man, let's bring Nicholas Corso down here, and I'll let you talk to him about some of the misses he's had so far tonight.
Hey, Nick, this is Austin Edstrom up in the Green Flag TV booth. You got a copy?
Yep, got a copy.
Man, we've been watching you the last couple of cautions because it just seems like they all keep happening right in your lap. What are you thinking behind that helmet right now, and how do you keep getting through these things without getting any damage?
I'm thinking go slow, stay in the back, wait for about 50 to go while everybody wrecks each other.
So you think this is going to continue to be a war of attrition? Those first 40 laps are pretty green. Now it's kind of turned into a caution fest. Do you think it's going to continue to be that way?
We'll see. Up front, they're going to get a little bit more eager to go, and I think it's going to cause a few more cautions. But yeah, back here, I just see people driving off the corner way too hard, getting the gas way too early, so I'm just backing off and letting them go.
Well, Nick, we're going to go ahead and let you go back up to your channel, but I do want to say Nolan only pulled you down here because he's trying to jinx you. He's been jinxing people all night, and he said, at risk of jinxing Nick, since we've been, he's been getting through these things, we're going to pull him down to the booth and talk to him about it. So you might want to be a little bit more careful because Nolan's jinx power is pretty strong tonight.
I will stop on the apron and let everybody go.
Good to know. Thanks for coming and talking to us here, Nick.
Appreciate it.
First off, Austin, it's been one
Two.
tonight. It's been 1. I'm counting it as 1. Second off, I'll have you know, because of that, now he's going to pull over everybody in front of the apron, and he's going to get rear-ended by someone that hasn't seen him slowing down at the apron. But the green flag's back down as Jada Hop takes off towards turn number 3.
I'm keeping my camera on Nick Corso this entire time just to make sure he's actually pulled all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's actually let everybody go down the back straightaway. So he's not taking any chances. I like that from Nick. Hey, if you don't have the pace to be up in the top 5, and you know it's going to be an attrition race, might as well let everybody else wreck each other out. So I kind of like it from Nick, but man, I'd be worried if I were him now. But up towards the front, we're finally seeing that third MFRD car getting up here and challenging the other ones. Dalton Kilrow on the outside of Brian Dees for the 5th place position. Kilrow continuing his march up towards the front of the field.
Hey, work smart, not hard, right? I mean, that's, I think, Carousel's motto right now. And sooner or later, these yellow flags keep up. You're going to start whittling cars down. While the rest of the field continues to push closer and closer to the halfway point of racing action tonight. A bit hard to believe we're not even at halfway, right? I mean, it feels like so much time has already passed by. I think I'm still on Homestead time, right? I mean, that race just flew by us.
Yeah, that tends to happen whenever we don't have a single caution flag. Here, those first 40 laps went by really, really quick, but since then, you know, we've had 5 cautions, I believe, so, you know, they just kind of have started stacking on top of each other, and, you know, at a track like Richmond, that's just, you know, it's going to, you know, even if you get a little bit of field spread, there's going to be some tight battles throughout the pack, and it just takes one guy making one mistake into a braking zone, and all of a sudden, everybody gets bunched back up on top of each other after a yellow, and we've seen it time and time again here, exiting 2 here recently. People are just pounding that fence down over and over. I mean, I'd be very, very worried about the exit of 2 here going forward.
Kevin Foster kind of checking up Bob Berry there on the way into turn 3. I think braked a little bit earlier than Berry was expecting him to in a turn 1. Wow, everyone else trying to just mind their P's and Q's. Kyle Well with a bit of a kick out on the exit of turn 2 as well. He goes down the inside of Jacob Locklear. We haven't talked about Locklear all that much today, but that Mobile 1 number 96, he's been up here, right? He's been running pretty consistently up in the top 15 all night.
Yeah, Locklear's having a good night here for him in that Mobile 1 car. I mean, he's been relatively consistent all night long. He doesn't have race-winning pace, but hey, man, if you hover around the top 10 on all night, and it does turn into that war of attrition like we're kind of expecting, who knows, you could just sneak out of this thing with a really, really good top 5. And so far, the driver of the 96 has been doing a great job. But we got a spinner out of turn 4. I think it might have been the 49 again.
It's Crockett, yep. Crockett going around, and he's into the infield grass, unfortunately, with this one. Take a look back. Jeremiah Hobbs to his left front, Walker to his right rear. And this one going to be self-inflicted. And Walker finished the job.
Oh my goodness, Wyatt Walker, how many of these things is he going to escape getting damage by inches? I mean, this is the 4th one that he should have destroyed that race car.
I don't know. I think he got him a bit there coming around. I just don't think it was enough to really do much.
That's what I mean. He got him, but he slammed on the brakes to make sure that wasn't bigger. He could have hurt that right front fender really, really good here. But he got it. Look at him get on the binders. That's incredible from Wyatt Walker again. I mean, it is the 4th time that he has either been spun out or been involved in an accident or closely involved in an accident and is going to escape it with no damage, even though he probably should have gotten at least 30 seconds out of that. He touched him, but that ain't damage.
Unfortunately, can't call to the wreck avoidance because he definitely still got involved in the wreck, but
now we're being pedantic.
Hush.
That's a wreck avoidance to me. That's damage avoidance.
Look,
and that's
did
more
he
important.
touch him? Yes, it's not a wreck avoidance.
That don't matter. That don't matter. A little bit of touch, but you staying
definition.
straight.
A
little bit of a touch.
Of an avoidance.
No. If you touch somebody, but you stay straight and you don't get any damage, that's wreck avoidance. I don't care. You touched somebody, but you didn't get hurt. You didn't spin out. That's a wreck avoidance. And he's done it 4 times.
Multiple cars into pit road. This caution is going to put us pretty much right to the halfway point this afternoon. Let's take a look at the championship standings and how things shake up here coming into tonight. And what I want to do, we're going to expand this window out to show the top 20 in the points here. This is how they run. These are live standings. And right now, understandably, Kilrow up on top, but it's all the battle for that 12th place spot. Right now, Scott Shire's got it pretty much well in hand there. This is, of course, not factoring winning your in.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lacey has a win this season, correct?
I believe he does, yes.
So Lacey would take that 12th place spot away from from Shire and move the cut line up to, you got to be top 11. But even so, Shire's only 2 points out of that from Crockett. I think Nickerson has a win too, but I think he said that he's foregoing the playoffs just because he's not going to be here. And actually, I think Aaron Smith up there in third place has said that he's not going to be able to make everyone either. So that actually moves the cut line down again.
Benjamin Lacey does not have a win this season. He has 2 top 5s, but he is winless.
There you go. Okay. Well, then I guess Lacey's got to fight himself up there. But again, I think Aaron Smith has said that he's foregoing his playoff spot up there in third because he won't be able to make all the races. So
yeah,
it really moves that cut line down to 13th, which would put Lacey in. I don't know. iRacing standings can be a little funky where you do the playoffs and the winning you're in and who's going to be at the races and who's not. So it's tough to keep track of, but nonetheless, be top 12 to be safe.
Lap 100, Jaden Hopp on the outside, jumps in the restart. We are back to green. He is clear by 2 before we even get to the start-finish line. That is, I think, one of the best restarts we have seen all night long.
Yeah, great job there from Jaden Hopp. And we still got the mixed strategy bags, right? Like, we got older tires up in the front of the field. Dustin Ping up here for the first time tonight. Dalton Kilroe running the highest he's ran tonight because other people pitted in front of him. Hopp stayed out, Kilroe stayed out, Ping stayed out. Wellman and Mark Arthur both stayed out as well. Arthur, I think, actually has the newest tires out of these top 5, and he was ridiculously quick whenever he was in the clean air. So I'd be watching out for that number 48 sitting in the 5th place spot. If this thing does run green, he's going to have a really good opportunity to get by it. Oh, Dustin Pink's in the wall. Oh, but he's taken out by Mark Arthur, both of them into the inside wall, and coming back up across the track in turn 3.
Oh, boy.
It's a huge pile up entering the corner.
The big one, they're still spinning in there. That's Foster and Satmary down on the low side. Good 8, 9 cars getting caught up in a big mess on the back straightaway right at the halfway point.
Well, I think I just jinxed Mark because I was saying, watch out, he's going to pass these 4 guys, and then he just got absolutely ping-ponged into the inside wall, and he's absolutely destroyed. He took a massive, massive impact after Ping had a moment coming out of 2. Actually, the moment came from Kyle Wellman getting loose off of the wall and coming down into Ping up into the outside wall, and then back down into Mark, and that is a race ender there for the 48.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? The Cup Series, 2011, when Jeff Gordon was spun hard to the inside wall, came back up into traffic, and, well, the rest is history.
Well, the big pileup that happened up against the wall in 3 was at first making me think of the Cup Series whenever Tony Stewart went in there and committed terrorism against Ryan Newman.
Yes,
the way they all stacked up into 3 was very reminiscent.
Fair point. Trying to track where Mark Arthur is at on the running order. There he is. Zach Speed with the wreck. Oh my goodness, just hopped up into the air, and Ping goes up onto the racetrack. Nickerson, a hard lick into the wall, and there you see Satmary kind of lost it on the way in, and again, Corso coming to a complete stop just to try and avoid. Watch Ping down the bottom side. Yeah, Wellman come off the wall.
Yeah, Corso definitely gets the safe driver of the race award here today. I know we're only halfway through, but like you said, he stopped. The track was blocked in front of him, and he said, you know what, I'm not taking a risk. I'm going to do the opposite of ARCA brake. I've got GT3 brakes on this thing, F1 brakes on this thing. I'm going to come to a complete stop and not even attempt to go into this thing until the accident clears itself.
Now, this one I will give you credit for on avoidance from Wyatt Walker.
He did it again?
He did it again. Oh, kind of caught the wall a little bit.
Don't say contact to the wall counts, because it doesn't.
Got a bit of a nick there, but yeah, I'll count that.
Oh, yeah. That's 5.
No, like I'll count that as an avoidance.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that's the 5th one, because I'm counting the one before it too.
Gosh, I mean, Walker and co, they have just been mental in getting around this stuff. Did you go and see the F1 movie? You mentioned having F1 brakes on your car. You have not?
Not yet. Well, because I always get worried whenever these racing movies come out, because from what I've heard, the racing scenes are great, but I can never suspend my belief enough to be able to believe what they're trying to tell me is going on in these races, because it's so far-fetched. Like the Gran Turismo movie was so far-fetched that it made 0 sense.
So, I having seen the F1 movie, it was not as terrible. You know, I'll tell you about it after. I won't spoil it, but I'll give my general
We'll have another
opinion.
caution to talk about it.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about it later. Janet Hop leading the way to the restart zone. We're back to green.
Yeah, Hop clear again. Kilrow not doing a great job on that inside road to be able to stay side by side, but ultimately able to stay in the second place position. Kyle Wellman didn't get the EOL penalty for that, even though I felt like he came off the wall a little bit and got into Dustin Pink. So he's hanging on to that third place position as of now, side by side with Christopher Bassinger here through 3 and 4. Aaron Smith on slightly newer tires coming through, trying to pick off a couple spots. Him and Hobbs, I believe, are both on newer tires, trying to get themselves back up to the front of this field.
Hop and Kilrow both clear by a lot as they come around into turn number 3. Kyle Wellman, Christopher Bassinger, Jeremiah Hobbs, Aaron Smith. Those are the cars under the blanket right now as they battle for the final podium spot. Wellman going absolutely rip clear around the outside. Oh, Bassinger sideways, able to gather him up. Now up the middle, going to go Jeremiah Hobbs, trying to go for it. Connor Gibson picked off 2 around the top side of 1 and 2, and here comes Marasco.
Marasco trying to make it 3 wide, not going to be able to do it. Great job from Connor Gibson to get those positions off of that hairy moment, but honestly, great job from Jeremiah Hobbs making sure that we didn't wad him up there, because it was all on him to not have the accident happen at that point with Bassinger getting sideways. Not saying it would have been his fault because Bassinger was sideways, but Hobbs was put in the most precarious position there coming out of turn number 2, and he did absolutely everything in his power to make sure that we did not wad him up out of turn 2 there, excuse me. So great job from Hobbs, and able to keep his drive to the front going, getting himself in a side-by-side battle for 5th.
Sikorsky, Bassinger, Lacey and Dees, all under a blanket. Hobbs and Gibson trying to scrap it out up the road as well. As this field, I tell you what, I mean, again, they have been having a phenomenal race so far today, and as always, right, the High Side Racing League putting on some extremely entertaining races. And now we're looking for 3 wide up the road.
Everybody settles it up 2 wide, though. Ty Marasco down to the inside of Jeremiah Hobbs, trying to get the throttle down, coming out of turn 2, trying to clear him. It's just so tough to do. Big spoilers on these things. A lot of downforce through the center of the corner, and not a lot of horsepower to make a mistake on the throttle, especially with a tight setup in it, which really leads itself to that outside line being preferred whenever you're side by side. Just so tough on the short run to get the move done on the bottom of the racetrack. But here through 1 and 2, Ty's trying to do it, and he's going to be able to do it there on the exit of turn 2. Hobbs going to just file in behind him, and Ty Marasco up to 6th place, setting his sights on the top 5.
I kind of feel like Hobbs let him have a little bit, realizing maybe was in the process of being freight trains, just kind of wanted to lift out and get in the hole before he got another car going down his inside, right? And I think that's not bad racecraft. Right? I mean, sometimes, hey, it's one of those things where, well, this ain't worth it. I'm going to lose out even more if I try to fight this. I'm just going to let it happen and just kind of regroup, try again later. Because look at now who's running this back bumper, Benjamin Lacey, right? And this has bought him some time to try and get his rhythm in before Lacey can catch him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just being stuck side by side like that, too, on the outside groove. Now, you're in the preferred groove, like I mentioned, but being on the outside like that, ripping it as fast as you possibly can, you're wearing your tires out a little bit more than if you're taking care of them on the bottom of the racetrack. So just giving the position up, saying, all right, take it for now, but if we get a long green flag run, I'm going to go get you back a little bit later whenever my tires come back to me. I like it, but, the tire strategies are all over the place right now that I think Ty might just have a little bit fresher tires than Hobbs. I think Lacey does as well, but Hobbs has a little bit fresher tires than Kilrow, Wellman, and Hop up in the front. So it's just a tough position to be in whenever you've got faster tires in front of you and faster tires behind you and slower tires in front of you. Like, you want to go get those slower tires before the faster tires get you, but sometimes the guys behind just catch up ever so slightly too quick. But it's been a great race from Hobbs so far. I mean, he's been probably top 5 on pace whenever we all have equal tires. So I'd like to see what he could do if we could all kind of get back on the same tire strategy a little bit later.
– 83 laps to go right now, with Jaden Hobb continue to pull and lead laps, but he has not pulled out as much as other drivers in the past have earlier on, right? I mean, remember Mark Arthur ripping that 2.4 second gap early in the run in the opening 30 laps or so.
Keithley threw the grass on the infield. He just about looped it. He was able to save it. But a bit of a hairy moment there for the 53, running, I believe he was running about 15th on the racetrack, although I do believe he is a lap down. But he was having some decent pace. Or he's multiple laps down. He's had to get that thing completely fixed. But he had good pace, just, well off the pace, given the fact that he's 20 laps to the rear after a caution from earlier. But yeah, just about looped it, able to hang on to it. That rear end out of 4 has just been sketchy for a lot of these guys so far tonight.
But back up to the front, right? Dalton Kilroe has been keeping Jaden Hobb very honest for the lead of that race. And right behind here, how about Connor Gibson with the Canadian Tire number 31? He's now looking to go into 4th, and that, I think is actually running in the best spot he's been in all season so far.
Been a great night for Connor Gibson so far, and I mean, he's all over the back bumper of a guy that I said was the favorite coming into this race here tonight, all over the back bumper of Aaron Smith, trying to get up there to challenge him for 4th place. Just tough getting off of turn 4, having the grip on the rear tires, thought about diving down to the inside. Aaron Smith covers him off, entering the corner, chops the nose off, continues his run, trying to go up to these older tires up in 3rd. But Gibson is feisty back there in 5th. He looks a little quicker than Smith.
Just behind them, Brian Deeves looking to attack Jeremiah Hobbs, and now, in fact, Benjamin Lacey going after Ty Marasco. Now, these two nearly came together a few laps ago, and Dees nearly got in the back of Lacey. So MFRD and Lacey, well, they've been going at it a little while here. So you can see that Real Earth Films number 7 not leaving much mercy there to Marasco, but he may have just had some packet loss. He is gone, and he is not coming back.
And that's huge for the points. You mentioned earlier he does not have a win yet this season. He's running 7th place there, fighting for 6, and all of a sudden he is just completely dropped, and that drops him to 15th in the point standings before he's even lost a lap yet. I mean, he's going to lose more positions as we continue to go here, and it's dropped him well out of that transfer spot into the playoffs.
And heck, I mean, Sean Williams will be hard-pressed to catch up with Scott Shire for that spot as well, right? I mean, this is, like you say, this is huge. Major points implications with that technical failure. As Sean Williams almost 20 points outside of Scott Shire's bump spot. That's not a lot of, or that's a big gap to run down in just 3 weeks.
But again, I said earlier, Aaron Smith is likely to forfeit his position in the playoffs. So you go back and you say, okay, well, the top 13 get in. And if that's the case, there's only 1 point between 13th and 14th. And then 4 more points to Benjamin Lacey behind, and then only 5 more to David Leakey behind that. So the battle for 13th place in the standings, which we think will be the transfer spot, would be immense.
And confirmation, by the way, it is not just, it's not like the computer came unplugged. The whole power for Benjamin Lacey has gone out. So that is, I mean, that's about as bad as it can get, right? That means that he is unlikely to be returned to the racetrack anytime soon.
Yeah, already 4 laps down for Benjamin Lacey, running in the 23rd place spot now. Looking behind him, Larry Bell is 10 laps down. He's out of the race. He will lose 1 more spot to Michael Keithley if he cannot get back in here, though. Dustin Payne off the racetrack. Thorpe Jr. off the racetrack for good. Arthur's still in pit road, so Mark Arthur might come out and swipe a position away from him. But other than that, everybody else is off. So Lacey looks like he's going to finish anywhere from 23rd to 25th, depending on what the cars behind him do here. So that's, I mean, that's huge. Benjamin Lacey's not a name you expect to miss the playoffs here in the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series at all. A series favorite, a series champion in the past. You don't expect Benjamin Lacey to miss the playoffs altogether, but this internet failure and some accidents earlier. I mean, remember, he had a really good chance to win Dover on strategy if everything went his way. He got caught up with a lap car with about 15 laps to go, completely ruined his chance in that race. I mean, he has had a ton of bad luck this season that has now put him behind the 8 ball with what? We only have 2 more races until the playoffs after this
3
one?
after tonight.
3 after tonight. Okay, well, he's got a little bit of time, but still, that's not a place you want to be if you're Lacey.
31 cars started this race out of, Crockett! Round to the back straightaway. 31 cars started this race, though, Austin. We are down to just 24 on the racetrack, and only 21 of those on the lead laps. We've lost about a third of the field, and, well, we almost lost another one with Matt Crockett on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Crockett hadn't had a good night tonight. He's had a couple issues, a couple incidents. There it is coming out of turn 2. That one probably just a little too low through the center of the corner. Have a lot of wheel in it to make sure that you can make it through the center and off the corner. And you come out of there, the banking falls away, and you still got the wheel put in it. You got a lot of power put down. All of a sudden, that back end just will randomly step out on you. It's kind of a push loose situation, tight through the center of the corner, and because you got so much wheel into it, it just snaps on exit.
And this should bring pretty much everybody into pit road. You pit here, you're good to go to the end of the race. So I would be shocked if we saw anybody really staying out, save for Bob Berry, of course, who is going to be getting the Lucky Dog free pass.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to come down at this point, and it really tells us who's put themselves in the best position on the strategy, right? The guys that were up at the front of the field before the pit stops, are the guys that have played the strategy the best. Jaden Hopp, Kyle Wellman, not Benjamin Lacey, Dalton Kilroe. They've played the strategy in a way to where they come down pit road for the final time with everybody while being at the front of the field. Hopp on pure pace. Kilroe and Wellman have done it through a mixture of pace and strategy, so a great job from those two to get themselves the track position that they need to be able to go for this win here at the very end.
Smith with two tires, Sikorsky with fuel only, Osborne fuel only. Top 2, by the way, Foster and Satmary staying out under the yellow flag. Everyone else taking 4.
I'm a little afraid now.
Well, I mean, we were mentioning the F1 movie earlier on. Without spoiling the plot, right? I did go in it with very, very low expectations. I was expecting it to be a very, bottom tier movie. I did not hate it. And this is coming from a racing purist. I actually did not hate it. It's one of the better racing movies I've seen, actually. I'm not going in to see it again, but it'd be like a 6, 7 out of 10. I mean, it's a perfectly harmless movie, if that makes any sense. You know, obviously, Austin, you and I, we're both racing purists, so if there's some things that really bother me, I know there's going to be some things that are absolutely going to bother you. I'm willing to bet they're going to be the same, and I'm curious to hear your opinions once you have seen it. The one thing I will give them a lot of credit for, getting the actual racetracks right and actually going to the actual places, bar 1 or 2 instances. Huge credit to that. Not a lot of movies do that. So
I have heard the racing scenes were absolutely incredible.
Oh, they are.
While
that
some of the
part I
stuff
have
with
no
the
problem
plot
with. Yeah.
and some of the reasoning behind I had heard that they said that they were going for max downforce setup so that they could get through the dirty air as good as possible, and they just make a bunch of passes like that. That doesn't make any sense. But if the racing scenes are that good, I'm at least willing to give it a shot.
The racing scenes are phenomenal. They're filmed fantastically.
I just hate that the good racing movies are so few and far between. Rush is incredible. Ford versus Ferrari is really, really good.
Talladega Nights is a complete madhouse. But it's a comedy, gets a pass. But I think we'll be mad at the same things from that movie. We'll like the same things about the movie. But filmed phenomenally at least. So. Oh boy, what in the world? Yeah, Satmary down low. Big problems for Satmary down to the bottom side of the racetrack. And Jaden Hopp has got a black flag as a result of passing him before the line, I think. And that has just been cleared, rightfully so.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you got a black flag for somebody else just not going on the restart, that would be a little hard, a little harsh. So I'm glad that they've cleared that already. Osborne on 2 tires. Was struggling there for a little bit. Looks like he's found himself a spot in line. Hobbs all over the back bumper of Kilroe here on the outside of the racetrack, just inside the top 10. All these guys fighting for the 7th place spot with Kilroe and really trying to get past Osborne since he's stuck out here on 2 tires. I can't wait to see what those 2 tires actually do for Osborne. Can he hang on to any of this track position now that he's got it, even though he's got some older tires? But up at the front, Hop looking to the inside of Kevin Foster, who's on the oldest stuff, trying to make this move as fast as possible so that he doesn't have to fight Aaron Smith for the race lead. And he's going to get clear coming down the back straightaway. But Aaron Smith fires it down to the inside, down the back, and into turn 3. He's going to be able to get clear as well to try to run down Jaden Hopp.
And we'll check back on that if anything comes of it for now. John Osborne with those fuel-only stop. Looking in his mirrors, they went 3 wide behind him. Christopher Bassinger trying to file through. Bassinger struggling to get those tires into a working area right now, as he has only been dropping since the restart despite being on the fresh rubber. Just can't get around John Osborne.
It's kind of tough sometimes in car on older tires. So kind of put you in a rough position. And here coming down to one, it's kind of the same scenario. A little bit of a stack up between Passenger and Hobbs, Hobbs behind Osborne. All these guys just trying to fight to get by the older tires. Looks like Ryan D is going to be able to do a decent job of it. MFRD running 6.7. And Hobbs getting contact.
There we go.
Osborne's going to spin it down the front straightaway off the nose of Passenger.
Oh, no.
And this time, Wyatt Walker can't miss it.
Shire gets into it. Arthur is in it. Oh, Satmary flying in there well after the caution was out. Crockett in it as well.
Big Corcel parked to miss one, and he still got hit.
By a guy that unfortunately didn't park to miss it.
I mean, I thought Corcel was about to get taken out of this race while being stopped. I think that he avoided it, but
just got loose for John Osborne there, and then got to the outside wall, got put around after a bit of a contact there from Passenger. Walker up on 2 wheels. Shire goes around, and they're all going to crunch up down to the inside. And Paul Satmary is going to just come ripping in here, locks it down, gets in a Corcel. Boy.
I think Corcel's going to be fine, but that was a little sketchy there for him.
Yeah,
I'd be frustrated if I stopped for a wreck and then got killed. But yeah, like you said, Osborne got a little loose. Passenger couldn't get checked up in time after he came down into the door, after Osborne came into the door of Hobbs. And ultimately just created the melee. And this is what I was worried about whenever I saw so many people stay out, is just, or take no tires on the pit stop. You just get so worried that somebody is going to be a roadblock and somebody else isn't going to, get off the throttle coming out of one of these corners and run over.
I mean, the caution's out.
Yeah, it was definitely late there from Paul.
I think he just, I mean, so I think the problem is he just didn't anticipate it, right? He slowed down way too late, and credit, he did lock the brakes down really hard, but that's why he lost it, right? It's because he locked the back end up. Now, he did not start braking until the caution came out. That is, I think, in some cases reasonable, but at the same time, you can see the wreck. You know that caution is coming. Just start slowing down in preparation. I mean, when you're that far back, you're not gaining anything by running at full throttle still.
Yeah, that was a little hairy. I'll be honest. That scared me a little bit. Definitely, it was definitely too late from Satmary, but ultimately, to chalk it up to no harm, no foul. He gave a little bit of a touch to Corcel, but I don't think Corcel got hurt from it. It definitely could have been a lot worse, though. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It could have been missing.
Kevin Foster here at the very, very tail of the field is, he's going to be sent even further back as he has been given a pit road infraction. So he has been slapped with an EOL penalty that he will now have to serve as a result.
Ultimately not too big of a deal, right? Like, I mean, he pitted, so he has to start at the back anyway. And nobody else really came down pit road with him other than cars with damage. So ultimately kind of a minor penalty, all things considered. Not much behind it. They gave Hobbs the EOL for that?
They may have. I mean, there was contact between them. Maybe there was something that race control saw that we didn't. Jaden Hobb leads the way back to green.
Easily clear into the lead for Jaden Hobb. Aaron Smith, the guy that I thought was the pre-race favorite, filing through to second place. If you're Aaron Smith, though, you need this thing to run green at some point. You got to have some laps to be able to go out there and challenge Hobb. If you're just going to get restart after restart after restart, starting on the bottom of the racetrack and having to go second, you're just going to let Jaden Hobb beat you on every single one of the restarts. So Smith is hoping that these guys behind him start calming down so that he can at least fight it out, like the guys for third place are doing it right now. Dalton Kilroe down to the inside of Kyle Wellman here for third place. Both these guys still side by side out at 2, and right behind them, Marasco and Connor Gibson going at it for the top 5.
Mark Arthur has rejoined the racetrack after spending almost 2.5 minutes in pit road.
Oh, Wellman!
He's not the only one. Gibson was kicking the tail end out as well. These guys are really starting to put the pedal to the metal. Jaden Hopp, though, coming alive. He has now reset the fastest lap about 3 or 4 times in the past 10 to 15 laps of green flag running. So Jaden Hopp with that fresh rubber is absolutely on fire right now. But how about that? Mark Arthur, fresh out of pit road, takes that spot right back.
That just kind of goes to show, like, I feel terrible that Mark Arthur got taken out of this race the way he did. We saw him in the first stint. He was just absolutely rapid, kind of put himself behind on strategy, and unfortunately, whenever you do that, you kind of get yourself back there in the hornet's nest, and you're asking a lot to not get wrecked whenever you go back there and have to come through the whole field. He just about got through the entire thing, got up to the top 5, and then got taken out. But, man, Mark Arthur was just about heads-on the favorite after that first stint. I thought it was Aaron Smith coming into the race. Arthur just had that race pace that nobody else had at the beginning, so I hate to see that he's not out there giving Hop a run for his money, but, hey, that's what you got to do if you're Jaden Hop or Aaron Smith. The guy that looked fastest in the first stint wrecks out, you got to be there to pick up the scraps.
So many drivers really flirted with that outside wall. Look at how single file they're running though right now. Very, very orderly. In fact, some of the most orderly racing we've really seen all afternoon. I think this track's starting to tighten up just a little bit more. Of course, maybe the weather, the ever-developing weather situation playing into this as well. Wind has started to die off a little bit. Track temp starting to come down. Humidity though, I think the biggest change is the humidity. It is up now 14%. It was 47 when we started the race. It's up to 61 now. So while the temperature and the wind might not have changed much, the humidity certainly has. And that can have just as big of an impact on how a racetrack develops.
Yeah, you just worry about this thing continuing to get tighter and tighter as the race goes on. We already know that the setups are going to be tight in the ARCA car. The iRacing setups are incredibly tight week in, week out. And, you know, that temp keeps coming down, and it grips up a little bit, but it kind of makes the center of your corner, the turn in also, just a little bit tighter on the front end of the car, and it just feels like you can't carry as much speed through the center of the corner. It just is a very weird situation to be in. And it's not like we were ever like super, super hot. It was definitely hotter than it's been, but I don't know. I hate to see the temperatures going down like they are. Ultimately in the 80s, I don't think it's going to be too bad or too much of a tight show, but I like the hot and slick temperatures where the back end skate around, not the cold temperatures where the front end can't turn and grip up through the center of the corner.
You can see drivers towards the tail of the field starting to get a bit more feisty as well, as Coruscant, Bassinger, Foster, and Sikorsky all in their blanket. Jeremiah Hobbs in the mix as well. Bob Berry kind of loosely tagging on to the tail of this fight after he got a lap back. So while the front of the field is starting to single file out, drivers like Kevin Foster are starting to drive their way a bit further towards the front. In fact, you saw Kevin Foster there almost push up a bit into Christopher Bassinger. Bassinger himself ran a bit wide, which is why we saw him lose out with Ethan Sikorsky, way down low. And now Foster 2 spots away from getting back into the top 10.
How about Nicholas Corcel up here too? He's avoided all the incidents, ran at the back all night long. He said the last 50 laps of the race was whenever he was going to pick it up and try to get up towards the front. He's running the highest he has all night here in the 11th place spot.
And a good run for Nicholas Corcel. Up right now 16 positions. He and Sean Williams are tied for the second most spots gained of the night. The only one that is higher than them, Dalton Kilroe, who is plus 25 on the afternoon. He runs all the way up in third.
Yeah, and a lot of that was strategy from Kilroe. Kilroe and Wellman both of them have played the strategy game just about perfectly, choosing exactly when they need to come down pit road to be at the front of the field whenever we all come down to take our last pit stop. I mean, they have cycled themselves towards the front. They had the pace, don't get me wrong, they had good top 10 pace, but they used a little bit of strategy to get through the rest of the way into the top 5. And it's put Kilroe into a position where if this thing runs green, I think he could go up here and challenge Hop and Aaron Smith for the race win. But Wellman back here in the 4th place spot, I think it's just about solidified him that 4th place position if we run green. He's a little bit further off the back bumper of Kilroe, but he's also got a good gap to these 2 behind him that are stuck side by side battling. These 2 MFRD teammates have not gotten away from each other at all tonight. I feel like every time I look up, the 1 and the 17 are side by side.
Yeah, Marasco and Dees have been in an absolute dogfight all night long, and Connor Gibson is looking to want to get involved in this as well. He is hungry for a top 5. Gibson, not a driver that we see up at the front of the races this far up all that often for him. I mean, 71 races is what he has run so far in a high tide race league competition. Now, out of those 71, he has only finished in the top 5 about 8 times, and only thrice on the podium, with 1 win that came at the Michigan International Speedway, but he sniped that one in a 4-wide pass for the win. If you remember that one all the way back in season number 1, Austin. That was his only win so far.
Next gen, right?
Yeah, he has had by far one of the biggest win droughts out of anybody in this league.
Yeah, but like you said, having a good night tonight, and that's all that matters. You got to keep moving forward, keep improving. Find a little bit more. Ooh, man, he's trying to find some more on the exit of 4. Got a little bit sideways, sliding that rear end out, coming out of the corner and onto the front straightaway. But I mean, he's done a good job tonight. He's kept the nose clean. He's had a couple of near misses, but he's at the pace to be up here, right? I mean, the 17 and the 1 have been consistently top 10 cars all night long, and Connor Gibson, now that he's up here with them, he hasn't dropped off the back bumper of them, so he's clearly got the pace to be up here. He belongs up here as well. And how about Nicholas Gorcel? I mentioned it earlier. He's avoided every single wreck here tonight by stomping on the racetrack every time, just chilling at the back of the field, knowing it was going to be a bit of a war of attrition. And now he's inside the top 10. Oh, almost contact with the 96, trying to fight for the 9th place spot.
Boy, nearly drove her in there deep. Now Locklear trying to find a way through. Foster and Sikorsky up on the high side as well, trying to find a way to get through. And while the 96 of Locklear still holding that thing down to the bottom side. Coruscant of the 40 car getting into the mix as well. Foster up high, Williams down low. Sikorsky waiting in the wings in 13th. As they try to work their way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Back around to the front straightaway. Coruscant still fighting to the inside of Locklear. Oh, into the wall goes Foster there.
Sikorsky found it right behind him too, kind of followed the 8 into it. Kevin Foster trying to make up some of these positions that he lost from coming down pit road a little bit later than these guys. Has a little bit fresher tires. Hasn't been able to make a whole heck of a lot of headway, but he's trying to make one more spot up here, trying to get into the top 10 by ripping it around the outside of Coruscant here through 1 and 2. Not going to be able to do it though. Coruscant clear, able to hang on to that top 10 spot. Sean Williams has lost a couple positions in the last few laps, so he was just 10th a few laps ago. Now sitting in the 13th place spot. He just needs a good, consistent night though, right? Just needs a good, decent finish as Hobbs way back here in 15th. The worst he's ran tonight, even though he's had top 5 speed, so I kind of feel bad for the 3. I feel like he should be a little bit higher up the racetrack. Just things haven't worked out the way that that he wanted for him. But back to Sean Williams, he's just needing those nice, consistent finishes. We saw a really good race from him last week at Homestead, Miami, finishing 6th after qualifying 3rd. Got himself back into the battle for the points to make the playoffs. And here, 13th doesn't sound great, but given the fact that a couple of those guys that he's fighting for the playoff positions with have had bad days and are finishing well behind him after getting put on the tow truck, it looks good for him in the points there for the driver, that number 89, coming to 3 races to go in the regular season.
Under 30 laps to go this afternoon, and well, I have a feeling like another yellow flag would really kind of cause this race to go off the rails, so to speak. So hoping that this one goes green from here to the end. We've had some good green flag runs so far. This is definitely, I think, at least the second longest run we've had so far tonight, if not closing in on the longest run we've had, which was, of course, the opening 34 laps of this race. Of course, he gets one away from Foster. Coruscant also gets one away from Locklear. And in front, up front, Brian Dees as well, trying to go after Wellman.
Dees might have the long run pace. He's starting to come on here. He's pulled away from his MFRD teammate of Tom Marasco after he made that move. And now, like you said, trying to get to the inside of Kyle Wellman to pick off this 4th place position. That 17's coming on strong at the end of this thing with 27 to go.
Dees to the inside. Wellman up on the outside. And the Soul Stealer number 17 Chevrolet continues to work the bottom side, while Wellman just cannot get clear up around the outside line. Every quarter, Dees inches a little bit further out in front. More and more and more. As Wellman goes up high, trying to find a way through. Brian Dees down on the low side, continues to fight his way around.
So frustrating if you're Brian Dees. You ran down Wellman from a little ways back. You know that you're just bleeding time, being stuck side by side to the guys in front. but ultimately there's just nothing you can do. Stuck on the bottom side of the racetrack. Wellman able to carry the momentum around the outside, run wider through the center of the corner, carry more speed through the center, and be able to get to the throttle earlier off. Just keeps that nose in front for the driver of the 42, even though D's might be just a little bit quicker at this point. Being pinched down to the bottom of the racetrack just makes it almost impossible for the 17 to get this move done.
To the case, Ryan, neither driver wants to lift. Dees is so good on entry that Wellman can't fight him off on the exit. Wellman is so good on the exit that Dees can't finish the job down to the inside. So they're locked in perpetual motion here. With Ty Marasco just kind of waiting in the wings, and he's waiting for one of these guys to just burn their stuff off, and he can probably swing through and take 2 for 2.
Yeah, if you're Ty Marasco, you might think, hey, let me run, a whole lane higher, maybe half a lane higher than Kyle Wellman and cut down on exit, get a nice straight run off of turn 4 down the front straightaway, and maybe even make it 3 wide to the very bottom of the racetrack. He hasn't been able to do it just yet, but with these two being side by side right in front of him, it does open up the opportunity as Kyle Wellman hits the fence pretty heavy out of turn 2. This could be Dees' moment. Oh, he runs up at the racetrack, entering 3, a little bit heavy on the brakes for the 17. Trying to clear the 42 out of the corner, not going to be able to do it. Marasco looked to the inside, but he's not going to be able to make that move stick. Backs out of it before we get down to 1, and still side by side. These two have been nose to nose, door to door for about 10 laps with no advantage between the two of them.
And again, if you're Marasco, you might be even getting a little bit frustrated, right? Because Gibson's closing. As a result of this, Gibson is slowly reeling them in about a 10th a lap or so. Marasco really wants to try and find a way to get through these guys, but they've just created a complete roadblock, and it's a game of chicken, right? Neither driver wants to lift because you might not get the chance to go back at it later on, being this deep into the run.
If you're Marasco, you just basically have nowhere to go unless you hit the absolute perfect corner to make it 3 wide bottom coming out of one of these corners. You got nowhere, and he's trying to make it here off the turn 4, got a little loose, unable to do it. But like you said, I mean, the 42 is doing everything he can to hang on to this 4th place spot, right? 19 laps to go. He's well within his right to race these guys as hard as possible, try to hang on to this spot for the points. But if you're Dees or Marasco, you're getting frustrated and more frustrated every single lap that goes by, just knowing that you can't get by the 42.
And it's an identical scene further in the field, right, with the likes of Coruscant, Sikorsky, Williams. The difference is these guys are in a bigger pack, so it's a little bit easier for them to get themselves sorted out with their own little fights. Here it's just these 3 isolated cars, so there is no one to get a little bit of a sniff of the draft run. There is nobody to try to upset the run with dirty air. You just gotta kind of work with it.
Look, this is about as good of defensive driving as you're going to see from somebody. And honestly, I think it is that we have seen all night long. Wellman has not put a wheel wrong in this side-by-side battle. He tapped the wall ever so slightly. Well, there, out of 2, he tags it a little bit heavier, and that might be the battle done. He fires it down deep on the outside of the racetrack here in 3 and 4, trying to hang on to the right rear, but that one contact with the wall out of 2 is going to be no!
Look out!
It's him. Oh, he hangs on to it. Thank goodness Wellman hung on to it, but it was lap after lap that he was driving the best defensive race I've seen, but, you run like that for 15 or so laps, eventually something's got to give.
Ty Marasco gets through finally, as does Brian Dees. It took a while. That was like a 15, 20 lap battle just about there between those two?
That was fantastic, honestly. And like I said, if you're Dees, you're pissed, right? You are mad. You were like 2.9 seconds off the leader before that. Now you're 5 seconds behind. You're frustrated as hell if you're Brian Dees or Ty Marasco, especially Dees. But like I said, Wellman well within his right to defend 4th place with 30 to 20 laps to go there in that stint that they were side by side. And he was doing a masterful job of it there until the very last moment of it. But again, you push your tires that hard for that long, for 15 laps side by side. Eventually, whether it's you or the car on the inside, one of you all is going to make a mistake at some point. Unfortunately for Wellman, it was him, but he's able to cycle into 6th place, right? He didn't lose too much time, didn't lose too many positions, just 2 spots there to Brian and Ty off that defensive driving. But he's still, firmly between Ty and Connor Gibson. It's going to take a lot for Gibson to get up there to challenge him for 6.
Sean Williams is going to clear down the inside of Kevin Foster as well, as he'll finally find a hole to work his way into the middle of all this. In fact, that slip from Foster lets Christopher Passenger get down his inside for 13th. Jeremiah Hobbs trying to attack for 14th now as well. Further up the road, just in front. Oh my goodness! Luckily, you're nearly taking out David Lakey down the front straightaway. And Sikorsky loose on entry to 1.
Sikorsky was trying to make that 3 wide around the outside, couldn't quite get the nose in there. Almost lost it under braking. now this tight battle, of course, way down to the bottom of the racetrack here, trying to take a spot from Sikorsky. Leakey's going to cut across his nose. Coming through 3 and 4, that's going to put Porcel on the apron. He got loose. Sikorsky in the wall. Williams had to check up, which caused Bassinger and Foster to lose some time down the front straightaway. I mean, the battles that we're seeing over the course of the last 30 laps of this race are absolutely mental in the midfield. But up at the front, Hop was able to just scoot away. He has saved his tires the best.
Boy.
And has gotten away as Leakey and Locklear still going at it here for the 8th place spot.
Yeah, they're driving angry back here. They are not happy with each other, clearly. Locklear just barely able to avoid the bump and run there. Coming down into it, David Lincoln, a bit of a flash, while Sikorsky kicks the tail. And now Sikorsky was a catch to the outside wall at 2 and 4 very consistently over the last several laps, and that is going to be wearing down that right front more and more. He's going to get clear this time by around the outside. Coruscant going to fight his way through as well and get up into the top 10. Bassinger and Williams also side by side back here, and all of this with under 10 laps to go.
This has been awesome. I'm loving the racing we're seeing at the end. It's such as not for the lead, but man, the battle for the top 10 has been crazy. Seth Mary letting all these guys go. Seth Mary obviously with the damaged race car, doing the right thing, getting out of the way of a lot of these guys battling for position. I mean, it is a hornet's nest from 8th on back. And honestly, the battle for 6th place is heating up too. Wellman, I think he's burned up those tires a little bit in that battle with Brian Dees for 4th. Now that he's back to 6th, Gibson has run him down with 8 to go.
Connor Gibson trying to get up into what has been one of the best positions that he has been in all season long. The only time he has finished higher than this was the 3rd that he got at Daytona and the 5th he got at Las Vegas. Kyle Wellman continues to pull clear around the outside. Gibson can't find a way to the inside, and honestly, with how good of a defensive drive Wellman's been putting on, I don't think Gibson's going to be able to get there. Well, definitely not after that.
Oh, that was a tough moment there for Connor Gibson. And they got a good gap to this battle pack behind them, so I think that it's just going to be those two fighting for this position. I don't think they're going to bring the rest of these guys into that fray with 5.5 laps left to go. But up towards the front of the field, Jaden Hopp has completely pulled away. The only way that he loses this race lead is if we get a caution that sends us to a green-white checker.
Well, you say that. I mean, these guys have been really putting in the beans back here. Sikorsky and Locklear both cashed the outside wall that time by. Coruscant now up to 9th. He's trying to go to 8th as well. He's been saving his tires, while these guys have been shredding them in the middle of this fight.
I mean, there are battles all over from 6 on back. Wellman just in front of Connor Gibson. Gibson was giving him a little bit of a bumper through 3 and 4, not able to move him up. Sikorsky finds the wall out of turn 4 once again, taking 4 laps to go. They're side by side for 6. Wellman on the outside. Gibson finds his inside again as Locklear still holding on to this 8th place position over Nicholas Corcel. You see Gibson now on the screen, down to the inside, coming to 3 laps to go, trying to take that 6th place position away from Wellman. How about the pace from Connor Gibson tonight?
Some phenomenal pace from Connor Gibson, some phenomenal pace as well from other drivers down the field like Sean Williams, Jeremiah Hobbs, and more. Looking for 2 to go this time by, and we are very much in the end game of racing action tonight for Richmond.
Side by side here, again, every position matters for Sean Williams in terms of the playoffs. He's trying to get every little bit of an advantage as he can get over Benjamin Lacey after Lacey disconnects due to power issues and loses a ton of positions in the point standing. So every position means a lot for the driver, the 89 there, trying to pick up as many points as possible. And up here as well, Coruscant, after staying at the back all night long, he's trying
back straightaway! Back straightaway! Jeremiah Hobbs is around and into the wall! He's going to not bring out the caution flag, though! Jaden Hobbs has taken the white, and he's going to look to walk it off now in turn 4! Oh, the crash came, but it came too late, and Hobbs with the walk-off win at Richmond!
So much has been happening at the end of this race. Coming to 3 and 4 in the last lap as well for 6. Gibson looking to the inside of Wellman. He gives him a tap. Up here for 8th place. Locklear, Corcel locked in a side-by-side battle. Corcel sideways. Oh, Corcel finally wrecks it across the line. Still going to finish 9th place for Nicholas Corcel as he goes spinning. Sikorsky, the one that he wrecked with, still finishes in the top 10. Bassinger in 11th. Sean Williams in 12th. And the battle between Wellman and Gibson ended up being in favor of Kyle Wellman. That was an eventful last 40. That was a crazy finish to that race.
Jeez Louise. What a wild turn of events to close things out tonight as Jaden Hobb deservedly burns it down on the front straightaway. Holy cow, a lot happened there. I thought for a moment when I saw Hop go into the outside wall that we were about to get that green-white checker that Jaden Hop would have been dreading, but it came out just seconds too late.
Instead of interviewing the top 3, can we interview 8th, 9th, and 10th? I feel
Oh, boy.
I mean, that battle was awesome between those guys back there for 8th.
As Jaden Hop pulls off the victory lap, we'll take a look back. This is what happened to Jeremiah Hobbs. He will finish 15th as a result. This was coming off of turn number 4. Contact with Lakey and Williams on the row. Hobbs got too greedy, I reckon, and just cleared himself, it looked like.
I think he was following Williams, who was going up to the top of the racetrack. You kind of get locked onto that front bumper of the car in front of you sometimes, and I think that's what happened with Hobbs. I'm not going to say for sure, but that's just kind of the viewpoint that I feel like is correct off of that. But man, Corso got to the inside of the 96, a Locklear here down the back straightaway, and these two were dead even coming off of turn 4, but the 40 just lost it on the inside, but luckily didn't end up losing a position out of it. Way late on the brakes, able to get door to door with them coming off of 4. It just loses the back end, cuts it back to the right. Huge contact there with the 94. Oh man, Passenger with a heavy impact to the inside wall, but all those guys come across the line as they were running in 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th anyway.
Right there is where I saw Hobbs go to the outside wall, and there's Jaden Hop, who had already taken the white flag. That is how close it was, though, to being the caution that Hop would have been dreading. 1 lap earlier, that happens. And you have to wonder what might have been.
8 seconds earlier. I mean, it wasn't much. There would have been a yellow flag there if it had happened, 8 to 10 seconds before that. And we would have had to re-rack him for a GWC there.
Boy, that would have been a controversial finish. You know it.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that it ended the way it did, because that was an awesome last 40 laps to the finish for everything 4th on back. I mean, the battles that we saw there were absolutely incredible all the way through the field.
Well, with all that said and done, 200 laps are in the books once again. As we're going to look to take a rundown now of the official post-race results this afternoon from the Richmond Raceway. Jaden Hop takes win number 5 of his season with Aaron Smith down in 2nd place. Dalton Kilroe comes home 3rd with Brian Dees in 4th. Cavarasco gets around Kyle Wellman for the 5th place spot as well, with Connor Gibson in 7th. Jacob Locklear fends off course over 8th of course, so spinning across the line to 9th, right in front of Ethan Sikorsky.
Going back to the 11th place spot, Passenger with a heavy contact to the inside wall, still finishing 11th. Williams with a good points night in 12th. Foster, the newer tires did not prevail for him, but he got back up to 13th. David Leakey in 14th. Jeremiah Hobbs with that last lap spin in 15th. Bob Berry, first car 1 lap down, 16th. Paul Sathmary in 17th. Matt Crockett 18th. Mark Arthur finishes 19th place with Wyatt Walker in 20th.
Down in 21st, it's going to be one John Osborne with Scott Shire down in 22nd. From there, it was Nick Kirsten in 23rd, Benjamin Lacey in 24th. All drivers here that did not finish the race include Leigh Bell, Michael Keithley, Dustin Ping, Mike Thorpe Jr., Mike Massagill, Tanner Marr, with James Faw close out the field, and Anthony Marshall did not take to the green flag this afternoon. Well, a wild way to close out racing action here this afternoon, and we'll look to give a chit-chat here to all the drivers that come home on the podium here this afternoon, as we'll look to give a chat here first and foremost with one Jaden Hop, the driver that comes home number 1 at the end of the night for the Old School Racers team. And what a wild ride it was for you, Jaden, as you were able to take the walk-off win. It is number 5 of the season, and a big win for you this afternoon. You nearly got caught out by a caution coming out late in the game, though, with Jeremiah Hobbs, spinning just seconds after you had taken the white flag.
Oh, absolutely. I was really lucky. I got really on that yellow, or that not being a yellow, and all the other yellows before. I know I almost ran out of fuel, like lap, I think it was like the lap 15 caution, but yeah, I got way luckier than these races usually go.
Win number 5 for you this season. Obviously, it's a big number to hit in the middle of the season, especially since the next closest 2 drivers have only gotten 2 apiece. With the playoff season looming more and more, and you continue to just rack these stats up, how do you like your chances come playoff season?
I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I'm trying to catch Dalton for the regular season points championship. It's not working out very good though. He's way too consistent, but yeah, I'm feeling good come playoff season.
Next week, it's the Michigan International Speedway. Historically, it has thrown up some of the most insane races we've seen on the channel, High Tide Racing League notwithstanding on that stat. What's the expectations for you going into Michigan?
Probably just to survive and make it out of Michigan in one piece. That would be nice. I feel good about the tracks coming after Michigan, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, wish you the best of luck when we go racing up north. Congratulations on taking home win number 5, and we'll see you next week in Michigan.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Jen Hop comes home number 1 this afternoon, and that'll bring up Aaron Smith. The PT Autosport Yellow Vision number 70 is standing by with Austin Edstrom.
Aaron Smith with yet another second place finish here on the season. Becomes kind of a common occurrence. I think it's 2 weeks in a row that we've talked to Aaron Smith on the second place. But Aaron, it was a great run for you. You were my pre-race favorite going into the race. I really thought you were going to have that long run pace. Even before the race started, I thought you were going to be the best on the long run. Didn't quite play out that way. What more did you need over that last 50 laps or so that we had under the green?
Well, I took 2 tires there on that last pit stop, under the idea that I'd be starting on the front row for the restart. I was not anticipating a destroyed car to be starting right in front of me on the inside there, and any advantage I had on that restart was gone as soon as the green dropped. So it was all damage control from there, just sitting behind Jaden, matching his lines. I was driving angry, so it was getting me a little quicker in the long run than I was before, but it wasn't enough. I slid back, fell back to Dalton, and I was fortunately able to stay ahead of him, but can't help but think about what could have been.
Aaron, you've been, ridiculously consistent this season. From what I understand, you're going to have to miss the playoffs just from having to miss a couple races whenever we start that. But, given the few races that you are going to be in here for the rest of the season, what are you looking for? Like, are you just trying to tally up as much wins as possible? And if so, how many wins do you think you can get by the end of the season from this point on?
I'm not too sure, but I may not be able to see the rest of the season through. But I'm still going for the regular season championship. So as long as there's still a point to make, I'll be here to make it.
Well, Aaron, next week we do go to Michigan, and from what we've seen at Auto Club and what we've seen in the ARCA car so far since they've changed it, Michigan is going to be a super speedway hybrid, I would say. And you don't really have the tire wear that I think that we had at Auto Club earlier in the year. So what do you expect next week whenever we go racing at Michigan? Is it going to be that super speedway hybrid and just kind of a fight to survive until the last 10 laps or so of that race, or do you think it's going to be more of a heads-up talent style of race like we kind of see at Richmond?
Yeah, we'll still have the tire saving aspect to it, but you'll have to be close to the front the whole race if you're going to want to shot at it. Like, it's so frustrating to try to pass people on the inside when they insist on sitting second and third lane the whole race. So I'll try to get that track position next week and take advantage of that draft, as you said, and hopefully it'll all work out for me.
Well, Aaron, congratulations on the second place finish in a row, and I couldn't even tell you how many you've had this season so far. So congratulations on it again. Looking forward to seeing if you can make it one spot better whenever we go racing at Michigan next week.
10-4, thank you.
Alrighty, that was your second place finisher of Aaron Smith, driver of the number 70 Chevrolet. Next up, we're going to be bringing down Dalton Kilroy, third place finisher. He's going to be talking to Nolan.
Dalton, hard charger of the night, up 25 spots to see you take the final spot on the podium here this afternoon, and just 6.5 tenths behind Aaron Smith. But I have to ask, you're one of many drivers that didn't qualify, a sight that we're not used to seeing with you. What was the call today?
The call was I needed to reset my computer because it crashed and wouldn't let me do anything.
Fair enough.
none of my mics were working because I have 2 plugged in my computer. Neither of them were doing anything, so I had to do the full power reset on it. So by the time that happened and it was reset, driver's meeting was already started and I missed the chance. So wasn't intentional, but hey, I was tried to be patient, try to not force my way through the field because I knew that just wasn't going to work. And there I just did not have the grip to stay with Jaden, and I was trying to pressure Aaron, but just again didn't have the grip to be able to stay on him to maybe make him make a mistake. So hey, I'll take third. I will take third. I'll extend the points lead. I'm happy.
Overall, it's looking more and more set like you're going to be out here to take that regular season championship. But Aaron has stated before he still has high intentions to run for that title. With the next 3 tracks coming up, of course, being Michigan, Phoenix, and Charlotte, are there any worries that he might be able to reel that gap down and overtake you for it?
For the regular season title, it's possible. He's effectively, so I know Michigan and Charlotte are 2 tracks that I'm good at. Phoenix can burn. So I feel like I should be able to keep up this momentum that I've had. He's basically, with the points are updated, so he's got to basically make up, I think, 9 points a race at least to get ahead of me. I can actually look at it right now. He is currently, so Aaron is 28 behind me. Jaden is 25. So Jaden's got to make up 9 points on me a race. Aaron's got to make up 10. So, I mean, if they finish 1-2 and I finish 10th for the next 3 races, that'll happen. So, but hey, that's not the plan. I'm looking to be up towards the front at Michigan and Charlotte, and hopefully just survive Phoenix.
And final question, why do you have 2 mics plugged into a computer simultaneously?
So, the main one that I use when I'm just sitting at my actual desk is, not next to my rig. And when I'm in my VR, I can't reach that mouse because it's a solid probably 6 feet away from me. So I have a second mouse on like a TV tray to my right-hand side that I can just grab to uncheck tires, do any of that. So yes, that's why I have two mice plugged into my computer.
I see. Well, Dalton, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon, and well, wish you the best of luck next week when we swing up to Michigan.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Dalton Kilroe comes home number 3 this afternoon.
Number 3.
And, well, Austin, tell you what, a pretty good race, all things considered. A bit of a caution string in the middle, but overall, fantastic Richmond race. Great opening run, great closing run as well. Championship standings. This is the big one that we've been talking about all day today. Dalton Kilroe extends the lead after racing action here this afternoon with Coruscant down to number 2. Jaden Hopp still chasing him down in 3rd. Smith still with a chance to close in for that regular season championship, but another race like tonight where Kilroe continues to extend, and it might be just out of his grasp, of course, with Smith vacating his potential playoff spot. Potentially, that put the battle between Williams and Gibson for the final spot, and they are separated by 8.
And with 3 races left, and like I said, Michigan is a hybrid super speedway in the ARCA car. So next week is a big-time wild card, and everybody from 9th on back in the point standings is really, really close. 9th to 17th is unbelievably close, and honestly, you can't even count out Sikorsky or Osborne with Michigan up there as well. I mean, there's anybody in the top 19 I could honestly see making the playoffs at this point. And going back up to that top screen, I mean, how about Corcel, man? He hadn't won a race this season yet, but to be as consistent as he had, be able to avoid all the incidents tonight and that he has throughout the entire course of the season, to be above a guy that has 5 wins on the season while having none, I mean, what a ridiculously consistent season from Nicholas Corcel to just continue to eke out the finishes all year long.
And no respect to Coruscant either, right? But, I mean, when have we really talked about him? He's been running such a quiet season. He's just been there, slowly but surely working his way up. And now he's a genuine contender. He could be one of those drivers that just makes his way into the Final Four all on his own, right? Could we get a Matt Crafton-style scenario where he can be in a position to take the championship, having no wins on the season, where winning is such a high priority? It's a real possibility of running second to the points right now.
Look, if you can continue that consistency all year long, and in an iRacing league, right, especially going into the round of 8, if you can make it to the round of 8 and then have a guy win 2 of those 3, so only 1 or 2 people get the winning ends, and 2 of those spots at least go for point standings, Corcel's absolutely a favorite to make up the Final Four. And once you get to the Final Four, it's like you said, I mean, anything can happen in that final race of the season. There is no telling who could come out of that final race with the championship. So all you got to do is get yourself there, give yourself an opportunity. And right now, Corcel is doing just about as good of a job as anybody.
Well, we got a lot of action coming on up over the next few days here on Green Flag TV. We'll, of course, start it off with tomorrow, as we've got 3 season openers coming on up in 3 days in a row. Tomorrow night, the OMSRO Gold Series kicks things off once again for the Daytona Duels and the Sim Racer Hub 150 at Daytona International Speedway. On Wednesday night, But Beer League has their preseason race. Switching over to the Super Formula Lights for the first time, they'll run a full, proper open-wheel car in that league's history. That'll be a fun one. That'll be at Silverstone. On Thursday night, the Average Joe Sim Racing League will see race number 7 of the Dover Motor Speedway alongside the Speed Cup Series with their opener at Atlanta. With the Bolt Racing League's the Lightning Series taking to the Homestead Miami Speedway for race 5 on Friday. SRA NAS Classic is back for more on Saturday. And then, of course, it is the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series at Chicagoland alongside the For the Boys Racing League with race 2 at the Echo Park Speedway. All of this and more with plenty of racing still yet to be had on Green Flag TV throughout the month of July. Again, 42 shows. Not a month you are going to want to miss. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name is Nolan Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next week when we go to Michigan for the High Titan Racing League Guardian Premier Series.